It is Sunday, the 7th of July, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. We are continuing on with Arcade Fire today and talking about Sprawl 2, Mountains Beyond Mountains, which is, of course, the part 2 to yesterday's episode, Sprawl 1, Flatland. This is the 15th track on The Suburbs, and the reason I'm doing this song today, and thus the other song yesterday, is because this is one of my brother's favorite songs, and today is his birthday, so happy birthday. So I figured I would do this song. Yeah, I mean, I really like this song as well. It's a very interesting contrast to Sprawl 1. You'll understand that when we listen to it. I think I won't give it too much of an introduction here because we've already talked about Arcade Fire and Sprawl 1 and stuff. So we're just going to stop here and listen to it and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. So yeah, you can see what I meant by it being such a contrast to Sprawl 1, you know. Sprawl 1 is very spare, guitar, bass, strings. Took a drive to the sprawl. And then this song immediately just cuts in with the drum beat, the dum da dum dum da dum, and the piano as well. And it's like a synth pop song, you know. A lot of people have compared it to Heart of Glass by Blondie, and there's in fact a great mashup of the two, which I will certainly link below. It does have kind of a similar vibe to that, you know. And the vocals are sung by Regine Chassange. She's married to Win Butler for her sins, who sang Sprawl 1 Flatland, and then she sings this one. That's another part that contrasts, obviously. But yeah, no, it's really interesting listening to the two of them one after the other, especially on the album, right, and comparing them. The inspiration for the song partially came from the book Mountains Beyond Mountains, The Quest of Dr. Paul Farmer, a Man Who Could Cure the World by Tracy Kidder. I don't know why that was the inspiration for this. It really feels like only the title inspired it, but then again, I haven't read the book. So the lyrics of this song contain some similar themes to the first Sprawl, obviously, and to the album overall, but it's a very different perspective. The first song was someone kind of going back to their childhood neighborhood, not really feeling at home and feeling kind of uneasy, you know. This one is kind of talking about reflecting on the kind of how shit some of the early days were. It's kind of reflecting on that chaotic childhood and treats it a bit differently. So let's just go into it here. They heard me singing and they told me to stop, quit these pretentious things and just punch the clock. These days my life I feel it has no purpose, but late at night the feelings swim to the surface. Because on the surface the city lights shine, they're calling at me, come and find your kind. Sometimes I wonder if the world's so small that we can never get away from the sprawl. So they heard me singing and they told me to stop, quit these pretentious things and just punch the clock. It very much feels like a parent or authority figure discouraging creativity, encouraging conformity, and discouraging rebellion, you know. You're not supposed to be singing, you're supposed to punch the clock, right? They call the singing pretentious. Now, that's probably a reference to the fact that many people have called Arcade Fire pretentious, and on some occasions they are right. But yeah, that's what she's kind of saying of like being stifled in your creativity at a young age is a pretty common thing, and feeling stifled in capitalism and getting a job when you want to be singing, you know. Then yeah, these days my life I feel it has no purpose, but none of these feelings swim to the surface. She's like talking about, you know, wanting to be creative and dreaming about it, you know, because on the surface the city lights shine, they're calling at me, come and find your kind. She wants to see your name in lights. She wants to go to the big city and perform, and the city is calling out to her, come and find your kind, you know, come away from that small town or that suburb where you are and come and find other people like you, people who will encourage your singing and your musicianship and won't try to put you in a box, you know. Sometimes I wonder if the world's so small that we can never get away from the sprawl. Living in the sprawl, dead shopping malls rise like mountains beyond mountains, and there's no end in sight. I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. So the idea of this never getting away from the sprawl, some people have taken to maybe be a reference to William Gibson, the sci-fi dystopia author. He has this idea of the sprawl, cities blending together in one endless massive urbanization is how it's phrased in Genius. Just suburbs continuing on so far that they reach other suburbs and the world just becomes a big city, right, is the idea of it. And it's kind of already happening in the US, apparently on the East Coast from Boston to Atlanta. It's just kind of all buildings. And so she's talking about how that makes the world feel so small because you can't get out of the city, you can't go to the countryside, you know, you'll never get away from the sprawl. And then it says, dead shopping malls rise like mountains beyond mountains. Now that's a really interesting comment specifically on like urban decay and stuff, but like there's just so many abandoned buildings in the world that could be repurposed for other things, particularly like empty houses that could be given to refugees and things. And the idea of dead shopping malls is a very specific one. There's a lot of dead shopping malls in America that could be turned into something else, or just reopened. But they rise like mountains beyond mountains. They just keep going on into the distance, into the horizon forever. And then this idea of, I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. So I referenced in Sprawl 1 that he talks about avoiding the light, there's several references to shining lights and trying to see through the darkness and everything, and it's kind of viewed as a negative thing, whereas in here, she says, I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. So it kind of feels like the lights of the city were calling out to her, but then she's saying, cut the lights. It could be saying that she wants to just hide away in a way, I don't want to be put under this pressure. We rode our bikes to the nearest park, sat under the swings and kissed in the dark. You shield my eyes from the police lights. We run away, but we don't know why. That seems to be referencing maybe the same incident as Sprawl 1, because it's, the cops confronting them, shining their lights in the reflectors of their bikes. So you can imagine this kind of leading into that, where they're cycling around, they're going around, they're kissing, and then the cops show up and they run away. You can kind of understand these being part of the same incident because the songs are paired together. Black River, your city lights shine, they're screaming at us, we don't need your kind. Sometimes I wonder if the world's so small that we can never get away from the sprawl, and then you get the chorus again. So this one, it kind of contrasts the first verse by saying, we don't need your kind. The city kind of saying, we don't want you here, which is an interesting, it is hard to find your kind even if you just go to a place where there's more people like that there, you're not guaranteed to find them. And then the rest of the song is just repeating part of the first verse, and then going back into the chorus, it goes, they heard me singing, they told me to stop, quit these pretentious things and just punch the clock. And then it jumps ahead to, sometimes I wonder if the world's so small, and continues on there into the chorus. Musically, like I said, synth pop, thumping drums. I really love it. Regine has a great voice as well. I really love this song. It's hard to say, I think it is a better song than Flatland, but it's also hard to compare them because they're so different, and I do really like Flatland. A lot of people don't care about it, but I really do. Yeah, I really like this song. It's really nice. Really cool, really good, kind of dancey party song. The music video has Regine dancing as well, listening to the music, and other people with kind of scribbled on faces dancing to it, and she's on a football field and gives that sort of idea of youth like both songs do. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. That is the end of this episode and the end of this week. Again, next week, no specific themes, just a bunch of songs that I wanted to talk about in no particular order, kind of. And yeah, so we're just going to be going on with that. Just more songs, 7 more songs next week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Please give a like, give a subscription, tell a friend, tell your family, tell your foes, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.